I mentioned before in a video going way back about this team that came under the mental health services, so called, and they were known as the STR team. In reality, it was two particular women in this case called Annie and Trina, or that was what they called themselves, and they were sent by the Bridge Centre here in Basingstoke, and they basically, over the course of 10 weeks, caused my severe OCD, which escalated from mild, not even then, to my knowledge, diagnosed OCD. So I had relatively mild OCD symptoms, and they caused it to become severe. That's what I'm saying. And they did it by going right through. It was a program of so-called tidying up, and they went right through my husband's and my home, and they were throwing things out, putting things on top of things, messing things up, forcing things to be thrown out, bullying. There were elements of what people go through when their home is burgled. It was completely traumatic. I've had various attempts from since of those sort of so-called services being introduced in different forms. These, it's basically like house clearing you without you being dead yet, and they are now trying to do something similar to my husband, who still lives in the same house, and a lot of my belongings are there, and he appears to have either just been totally bullied or consented to some of it, and nobody is asking me about my belongings, because he says that it was never him who had a problem with going through all that. I don't know, but my point of view doesn't even seem to come into the question. These ones seem to be some sort of remote lot who've come through the housing association. I don't know who these people are, but an STR team by any other name is an STR team. I don't even remember what it was supposed to have been, what the initial was supposed to have stood for. I believe at some point they gave us some sort of explanation about what that STR actually stood for, but I could make up a few suggestions if I wanted to, but I honestly can't be bothered. They are just bullies, and I'm trying not to let bullies in here to do that sort of thing. And how do I protect my belongings, as well as the fact that I don't agree with them doing this to my husband anyway, but it feels as if he isn't being given much choice. I don't know who else he has got involved in it, but he did say that people such as the family member who nearly caused me to take my own life, he has assured me that they don't have access to the belongings of mine which are in that property. But I don't know. I don't know what is going on, but I absolutely strongly don't agree with these so-called services that just go through people's belongings, messing them up and putting anything on top of anything else, and just going through people's belongings as if they're nothing, and calling it so-called tidy up. How would they like it done to them? Just because they've got big houses that they own and they think they're so much better, but they really are absolutely awful people. And anyone out there who has done that to somebody else, know that you cause extreme trauma, and it is unacceptable. All services of this kind, so-called services, are unacceptable. It is bullying, just pure and simple. It is bullying. Stop bullying society's most vulnerable people. How would you like to have authorised burglary to your home? Because that's basically what it is. People who've been burgled always say that the invasion and people going through their personal property is actually the worst aspect, but they are authorising people to do this, and this not appear to have come through an associate of the housing association. They can come through housing associations, they can come through doctors' surgeries, they can come through like mental health services, but however they come, their behaviour is completely unacceptable, and it needs to stop. And they need consent of anyone ethically. They need consent of anyone whose belongings are being affected, because I mean, it's like they're going to go through room by room. Apparently, I don't know. One of the rooms is mainly my things from when I lived there, and I sometimes have stayed there from since, and I might still stay there if I could get out. So there's a lot of aspects to it, but I can't explain my whole situation easily, and it is complex, but I just find it unacceptable what is going on. I just find it absolutely unacceptable, and it's the sort of thing that will drive people to suicide.